You have Jonquel Jones, who had a terrific first half, and I believe she only had 2 points in that third quarter,
I
three,
believe so.
and one
Yep.
attempt. That can't happen.
Nope.
That's
And Vandersloot
inexcusable.
still got a goose egg, might I add. Only 17 minutes of play. She's been the easily least played starter, but again, she's got no points, 0 for 5 from the field, Cage. Vandersloot has been ice cold in this series, and it has really cost the New York Liberty in more ways than one.
And it's gone to the point where confidence is shot, and she's not looking at the rim. She's not looking to score. She's not looking to make a play. And that's easily defendable. You're basically playing 4-on-5 on offense.
Not your point guard, might I add. Not like it's a center where you can kind of get away with it. It's your point guard. That can't happen. Talk about things that can't happen, Cage. That can't happen. As we'll see if the Liberty can get some respect back here in this fourth and final quarter, I'll say, but most likely final quarter is Young for three, and it rattles in. And
Young,
the shelling continues, Kajan, here in Las Vegas.
you gotta give full credits to the Aces though. They've really taken the Liberty out of their game on both ends of the floor. They've really played their game and forced the Liberty to play theirs. And Vandersloot's miss just sums up how her finals have gone. Great, wide open for three. Wilson, Gray, Young, no hesitation on the three, in and out.
I'm not happy with that shot for Las Vegas, but Kajan, when you're up by, 26? I'm not sure shot selection really matters, does it, Cage?
Well,
let's be honest about it.
One, if you're up 26, and two, if you're as hot as Jackie Young right now. And that shot is a microcosm of how frustrated Jonquel Jones is. Because only one attempt in that third quarter. You're the only person that really has it going. And it's just like, I just got to get mine at this point.
Vandersloot again. Gets the foul, so she gets to the line. So we'll see if she can get her first points of the game. But again, still no made field goal. And I remember, Cage, and I know you're going to remember this. I'm going to take you back. Game 1, first quarter, they leave Vandersloot wide open. They go under on her screens. And you're like, I wonder why they're doing that on Vandersloot. Vandersloot's a good shooter. You know, how many quarters later, Cage, are we? And now it's like, now it makes complete sense why Vandersloot's left wide open, because she can't hit anything right now. It feels like. It seems like.
And I think it was just like to get Vandersloot out of her psyche, and it's really worked. And it's gotten to the point where she can't make both. This has been hard to watch.
If you're a New York Liberty fan, I think this game's already been turned off, Kate. If you're an Aces fan, you've been celebrating since about halfway through the third quarter.
Fair enough.
As Wilson, oh my God, she passed it to herself and gets the foul off Jonquel Jones. Now, I can't believe that just happened.
It would have been crazy if she actually yammed that down.
Aja Wilson caught it spinning, plays it off the glass, caught it, and gets the foul off Jonquel Jones.
Oh man, if she had jumped up and dunked that down, I'm like, call her Aja McGrady.
Gotta be honest here with you, Cajun. My buddy, my roommate Jalen, who you know, who you actually just saw at our graduation yesterday.
Yep.
That's his move in one-on-one. because he's so tall and so quick. He'll play it off the glass, run, jump, catch it, and lay it in. That's his move. I just watched Aja Wilson do that in a real-life basketball game. Not one-on-one, in a 5-on-5 basketball game, and she makes both.
So she basically pulled the Jalen Bray.
I'm actually confused. I never really can say I've seen somebody do that. Like, I've seen Kobe do it, but he didn't shoot it. He just caught it off the glass. She shot it. She caught it and went back up like an offensive rebound. That ball was nowhere near the rim to be an offensive rebound. And the Aces can't believe that the possession wasn't theirs. Now it is theirs, so the Aces will get it back. Ray was baffled that they didn't give that to them the first time.
Bamboozled.
Befuddled.
Flabbergasted.
Just absolutely bemused. That is now Gray again, wide open. Funny.
And Gray, I think, just got the double-double. And it's official. 11 points, 11 assists.
Kajan, I'm going to use an adage we use a lot, and I think football is what I'm going to pick for this one. This feels like a one-way pounding, and Las Vegas is swinging the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the second quarter kind of gives you that hope that the Liberty were going to do something in this game, and all of that optimism, being going down only by 8 coming into this third quarter, coming into the second half. It has been gone, Kajan. I think I can go as far as to say it's been gone. The optimism in this game.
It's pretty much pessimism at this point.
I gotta like New York's coaches. I like her message. We can't look at the scoreboard. We can't worry. We just gotta play it in series. We gotta play a good fourth quarter, and I agree with that. At this point, the game is long out of reach. It is just series to series, possession to possession, getting better and doing what we expect, executing what we want to execute. That's the goal at this point. Because the result has already been decided. As Laney misses another 3. Rebounded, though, by Vandersloot. Another 3 by Laney. No good again.
But the first 3 that Laney hit, I actually liked because it was off of a post possession from as Plum just splashes home a triple, and the lead is now up to 32.
90-58, Cage. 90-58. Plum's got 20. Vandersloot gets her first basket of the night from open play, which makes it a flat 30. Gotta wonder, Cage, when the reserves are going to show up for the Aces when they start playing the rest of the bench and leave poor Alicia Clark out there to man it, to captain the ship. Oh, again, beautiful passing there by the Aces. Just couldn't complete the last pass there from Young to Clark. But beautiful passing.
And you can live with one too many passes.
When you're up by 30, Cage, I hope so.
We got another timeout. That last.
I also want to mention here, Cage, they throw up a little stat there. First time we've had 2 coaches in the final that have been WNBA players.
And that being Sandy Brondello and Becky Hammond. But that first possession out of that timeout, I actually kind of liked from the Liberty. They dumped it to Brianna Stewart in the post. She got double, kicked it out to a wide open shooter in the corner. Now she missed, but that's how you're supposed to play. Get your threes from touches on the inside. And if they're going to play one-on-one, dominate like barbecue chicken.
And Cage, you know what's really funny? First quarter,
What?
You can go back and listen to it. First quarter, the Aces did exactly that. They penetrated, passed it right out to the corner, wide open shot, and it was a make. It was, I think, the first assist they got of the game. And their second 3 of the game. It was Jackie Young, I believe, got it after Plum got the first 3. So generally, it was their second basket of the game. It was a pass out off of a screen, drives in, kicks out to the corner, wide open shot, it's in. And I said, and I quote, that's the way to do it. You penetrate to the key, you pass out because you have every option open. There's no skip pass. You can pass to the corner, you can pass the elbow, you can pass back to where you came. Every pass is one pass away. There's no way to help off of it because then you're leaving a shooter wide open.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first quarter, Kajan. First quarter, I said that. I know you're repeating it here in the fourth quarter. So again, adjustments.
And mind you, I came on for the second half.
Yeah, you just rolled out of work. You didn't have the luxury of watching that first half and having that little optimism I had coming into this second half. You just gotten to see the Las Vegas Aces absolutely giving it to the New York Liberty.
Pummeling them.
I think humbling's a bit of a understatement, Cage. This has been a drubbing, a crushing, a demoralizing. I don't think there's enough words I can say, Cage, that describe this beating the New York Liberty are taking. And I hate being negative, Cage. I genuinely do. It's something I would do as a broadcaster if I was in that booth right now broadcasting this game, Cage, and this would not be the way I'd be talking at all, might I add. But right now, as an analyst, as a guy trying to analyze the game and trying to walk you through what we're seeing, Cage, this has been ugly by the New York Liberty, offensively and defensively. Ugly. And let's go to the top leading scorers, Cage. 26 for Wilson, 21 for Young, 20 for Plum, 11 for Chelsea Gray, who's already got the 11 assists, which I bet you is more than 11 now. I haven't checked in a minute. Let's give a little gander here. No, it's 11, 6, and 11 for Chelsea Gray.
And 3 turnovers.
And a former MVP of the finals. And turnover there by, I'm not sure. I thought that was by the Liberty there, Cage, but they're going to give it to the Liberty.
I genuinely thought nobody touched that. I
also thought nobody touched that. I thought that was the Liberty turnover. It's not. They're going to say it went off of an ace. Stewart can't make it through Clark. Nothing.
And it's just
rolling.
And it's just like stopping for the floater in the lane. Like, attack the basket, use the glass.
And they're not sure.
Might have been an 8-second. I think it might have been an 8-second.
Well, that's kind of surprising, but regardless, you're right. It is a possession change going against the Aces, which, again, up by 30 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Not like it changes much, as they're going to call that a foul, and it's an and-one for Vandersloot. So again, Courtney Vandersloot takes the fourth quarter to show up.
And I was talking about like how her showing up like in that fourth quarter of game one might have been a precursor to what to expect for game two, but boy, was I wrong.
Boy, were you. But this game has been out of hand. Liberty got it a little bit closer to make it feel like it was manageable, and then it got even more out of hand as Vandersloot makes the and one.
And you got to wonder, like, when are the reserves going to come in?
As Dolson
Although
gets
they
the
are
steal.
playing a little bit better.
Dolson gets the steal and gets the pass back from Vandersloot and gets the make.
And honestly, and that's a good timeout by Becky Hammond. Like, you can't give this Liberty team any sort of life whatsoever. I know you're up 25, but you don't want any sort of momentum. One word that Prof. dear to us absolutely hates.
Openly, might I add, Kajan. Openly hates that cliche, as he would say.
But you don't want to give them any life. Heading into game 3, you want to keep them demoralized.
Well, Cage, I think I'm going to mention this quick before you continue, Cage. The score line is still 10-8 in favor of the Aces. So you are right. I agree with you 1,000%. That's Ray would hate that as well, might I add. Ray would hate the end of this podcast or the end of this review. But anyway, the Aces have had such a good game. I don't think they could give the Liberty any amount of momentum. I genuinely don't think that I think Liberty could make this result feel good, regardless of how much they can come back in this fourth quarter. As a nice block there by Jonquel Jones on Young, so possession back to the Aces with about 8 seconds left in the shot clock.
Probably the only player on the New York Liberty that has shown up.
Yeah, the only one who got off the plane today, got out of the hotel.
And who's only taken 2 shots, my ad, in this second half. And unfortunately for the Aces, that did not count. That would have been Jackie Young's 4th and 1 of the half.
Yeah, and I actually think the broadcast team right now, Kajan, is talking about how the one team usually waits for the other to kind of put in all their reserves. And normally it's the team that's leading, puts out their reserves, and then the other team puts out their reserves, the team that's losing. And I will again say, for me, the only reason to do it is for injury, Cage. I would not take out my starters because the scoreline's out of reach. I would do it because of injury. I don't want my players getting hurt for game 3. But other than that, they play in the whole game, obviously. For me, it's not a mercy thing. It's an injury thing. Because, again, I don't believe in teams going in neutral to be more respectful. I think that's stupid. As Plum makes, I think that's 2, Cage. Isn't that 2? Is she going to get a third free throw here?
She got fouled when she attempted the 3.
Was thinking that. So there's number 3 for Plum, and it's a make. Almost back to 30 right now, 28-point lead in favor of Las Vegas, who are 14 for 14 from the free throw line. That's perfect. Nice job there. Dolson's looked really good in her limited minutes here in this game. Again, she's a girl who did not get any minutes in game 2, just about.
I think that was Breanna Stewart. I think that was Breanna Stewart with the bank.
Oh, pardon me. Yes, it was. Actually, Dolson's not on the floor right now. She got pulled back off for Jonquel Jones. But Stewart's needed to have a better game. Stewart also kind of struggled in this one, and that's money for Young.
And that's the beauty of how the Aces have been playing. Kelsey Plum penetrated into the lane, drew the double, kicked it out to a wide open Jackie Young in the corner, and she's been red hot all finals.
And I want to mention, Cage, as I said that, Breanna Stewart's got 14 points, 13 rebounds in this game, which you think, oh yeah, that's pretty good for Breanna Stewart. She's shooting 6 for 17 from the field, Cage. That's 35%.
And she shot 42% in game 1.
That's not good enough for the white shirts. Your best player, the MVP, cannot be shooting 35% in a game 2 that you need to win and expect to win that game. Like that, again, just stuff that can't happen. As number 1 is by Laney.
And on the other end, Asia Wilson, who was 3rd in MVP voting, has 26 points.
Exactly. As lots of substitutes are now getting made, everyone's making their wholesale changes. As Benijah Laney will probably be basically the only starter left on the floor there for the Liberty. It looks like Vandersloot's still on. Plum will now come out with about 4 minutes left in this game. Plum's probably done for the night, you'd expect. Not sure who else came off just yet. Oh, looks like basically all the starters came off. I saw Wilson there as well, checked out for the last time you'd expect. As Laney makes number 2.
Only starter that's on the floor right now is Chelsea Gray.
That's because they're keeping Clark off for now. So we'll see what happens here for the reserves of both sides. Wide open 3 again. No good. Lucky there for the Aces or for the Liberty. Again, Cage, ugly rotation. That can't happen. Even with your reserves on the floor, that can't happen. As Dolson driving through and gets the foul there on Gray, who will probably be coming out now with that extra foul.
Mm-hmm.
And Chelsea Gray is, oh no, Chelsea Gray's just going to talk to Becky Hammond.
And if you're Chelsea Gray, you can't have a better coach in terms of running the point than Becky Hammond, who's been there, done that.
At multiple levels. Internationally and WNBA, over in Russia, where she got citizenship, might add, and played for the Russian national team at her last Olympics. Decorated pro was Becky Hammond. It was a little bit too late to join the WNBA. It was starting as her career was kind of winding down, sadly, so we never really got to see Becky Hammond at the peak of her powers, but still was a great player in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
as it was a missed free throw, but they got the offensive rebound, and Johannes loses possession, and quickly up before come the Aces, 3-on-2. Chelsea Gray got an ugly pass. You just got to kind of wait, and oh my goodness, again, Cage, no-look pass, and lucky there for Liberty that they got bumped off there. Actually, they just flashed again, Cage. Back-to-back champions. They'll be the first one since 01-02 with the Los Angeles Sparks. As there's a three made there by the Liberty.
And that's Vandersloot from 3.
Again, she waits for the fourth quarter to show up.
Somebody tell her that the fourth quarter is every quarter.
Yeah, at that point, just lie to her and say it's the fourth quarter. As Gray, again, is the court general for the starting unit. She's now the court general for the backup unit. Yeah, great. Nice move for 3 on Dolson.
Oh my goodness.
Put the 3 fingers up, Cage. It's another 3 for Chelsea Gray.
Her second of the game, and she just looks like she just looks like she's pulling a Marine Johannes here, playing a game of horse.
There's a steal there by the Aces off an ugly pass into the middle. I'm almost saying ugly a lot because I'm seeing some pretty ugly basketball here at the end of the game. Chelsea Gray, no look pass, nice fake, midi, no good.
But that's a good shot fake.
It's a great shot.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful basketball. The ball's zipped around. You get a wide open shot. Unfortunately, the result wasn't. That might have been Dolson.
I believe. George was the one who missed it for the Aces. That's what I was going with.
Oh, okay.
Because anyway, we haven't seen basically any of this bench here by the Aces as Gray misses that 3. It was some tangled up there behind the net. And again, Cage, that's another thing you kind of worry about here is this game far out of reach is the adrenaline getting a little too testy here. As out will go George, who got that foul, who got tangled up. But you're going to see here on Dolson, that 3 for Gray. Easy money there for Chelsea Gray.
And you have to think she would get subbed out right after this.
You'd think, but unless they're going to play the only player that has not gotten any minutes yet in this game, as I quickly race down, in Williams, who is a guard, so maybe Williams will come in. At least she's listed on the roster. I'm clicking in a check here to make sure that she is still on the roster. I think she is, but regardless.
A side note, all those bettors that have Aces at over 99.5 points are sweating right now.
They are with a minute and a half left, KG. You got to expect they'll hit it, but,
I mean,
lackluster second quarter there for the Aces is right now the reason why they're not at 100 yet. They should be well at 100 with their first and third quarters.
Or the fact that they put all their reserves in.
Well, even with that, Cage, with the way Liberty have been playing defense, first possession with the subs on, Cage, and they had a ugly rotation. Bad rotation for the Liberty. Wide open shot.
Or as I like to call it, defense.
Again, I'm trying not to be the most pessimistic sports watcher here, but it's really hard when you're watching a game, and no offense to the Liberty, but they haven't done a whole lot right.
Their play is warranted for being pessimistic at this point. Like I don't know if you can really take any positives out of it. Like you said, I don't know if you can really take any positives out of this game, other than maybe getting the ball inside to John-Claude Jones was probably the only positive, and they went away from that in that second half. She only had 2 shot attempts.
That's what she's going to end with, you'd think, with all the starters out. Brianna Stewart has struggled from the field tonight. Obviously, we talked about the issues of Ionescu and Vandersloot. And again, Kajan, I want to say something we talked about. I know this was on our Polar Opposites episode. Before this series started, we talked about what matchup we thought was going to be most pivotal for their team. I said Ionescu and Plum. You said Gray and Vandersloot.
And we've both been right.
And you and I could not have been more right with those 2 matchups, because those 2 matchups have been so far slanted in the Aces' favor. They blew them out in game 1, 99-82. They're now up 99-74 with a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter. And let's look at the matchups now, Cage. Ionescu, 10. Vandersloot, 9 points. Aces, Chelsea Gray's got 14 points with 11 assists, with 37 minutes played, might I add. Plum, 23. And another thing I want to mention, you and I talked about how we didn't mention Wilson and Stewart because they were going to get theirs. AJ Wilson, 26 points, 15 rebounds. Brianna Stewart, 14 and 13. So Brianna Stewart's not getting hers, and the other matchups, the key components of the supporting cast to their MVP caliber player, are not playing well. As you see there, Chelsea Green is now off the floor. So all the starters of the Aces are on the bench. I believe that would mean Alicia Clark is back on the floor. Yes, she is. And that's a make there from the free throw line for the Liberty. But
now let me ask you this. It might be too early because this will officially make it 2-0 for the Aces. But who are the Aces would you give for Finals MVP?
I mean, I think you're kind of spoiled for choice, Cage. I think you're spoiled for choice, Cage.
For me, it's between one or two choices right now. Either Plum or Young. Or maybe even
Wilson,
Gray.
though, Cage? I genuinely think, Cage, you can pick one of any 4 starters that's not named Kia Stokes. That's no offense to Kia Stokes, but she's kind of the fifth wheel.
And the foul. And now they're at 100. They're at the century mark, folks.
That's Clark, and Clark's going to go back to the line for an extra point here, Cage. And
color me shocked here.
What did I say before this quarter started, Cage? And before you continue, what did I say before this started?
No backdoor cuts.
Go to a zone. No more cuts. We're not getting beat by cuts no more. And again, with a minute left in the fourth quarter, every reserve out there, they get beat by a backdoor cut. Beautiful pass, but still. They're killing you with cuts. How can you not stop the backdoor cut when you know it's coming? They've been doing it all night. Adjustments have not been there for the Liberty tonight. And it's costed them dearly in a game they needed to win. Historically and, in reality. Oh, I was going to say that's way too easy there for the Aces. They drove in and it was wide open, Cage. I thought there was no whistle there for a second, and she just started walking away from the ball, and it's another foul against the Liberty. They're inside. The Cage, it's been a rough game for the Liberty.
It's been disappointing.
I got to get an understatement, Cage, and this is definitely disappointing for what we expected this series was going to be, what the first half was in game 1. And since that moment, Cage, the last 6 quarters of this game has been, everything that we hoped it wasn't. As, again, right now with this win, Kajan, the Aces have not lost a game yet in the playoffs. They're 7-0.
And that's
8-0 in game 3 to go perfect and only lose 4 games total in the WNBA season.
And that shot selection right there sums up how the Liberty have been.
And there's 2 seconds separating shot clock and game clock. I expect the Aces are just going to run this clock out up 28, and then the Liberty will just inbound it, and that game will end. And here is the record, Cage. 0-17 is the record for teams trailing 0-2, 0-8 in the finals. And that also would be in Cage, and we mentioned in game 1, if they lose game 3, game 4, or game 5 if the Liberty somehow get you that far, that means the Liberty will be 0-5 in the WNBA Finals. 0-5 for the New York Liberty. And again, the Aces will become the first team to back-to-back since 01-02 with the Las Vegas Sparks. Previously, the Houston Comets, who won 4 years in a row.
And that's the second straight game I've seen the coaches shake each other's hands.
And there's Candace Parker again on camera.
Which you never really see.
That's respect between 2 champion coaches.
It is, but you rarely see that. But you rarely see that in any finals series in any.
Cage, I'm not sure how we're going to end this, to be honest with you, because I don't feel like we have much to talk about because I think we've talked about basically everything that's been the problem with that game right now. The Liberty didn't show up basically, and unless the second quarter, isolate the second quarter for 30 minutes of a 40-minute basketball game. The New York Liberty were passengers. And to think that they knew they needed this win, to think they knew that no team has ever come back from 2-0, and I'm not saying they can't do it. I think you and I both know they can, but they have not shown us they can. And I don't know where to go from here, Cage. You piggied off, you jumped off the back of what I said last game and saying if the Liberty lose game 2, they will not be back in Vegas for game 5. They will lose it in Brooklyn. I have to agree with you, Cage. At this point, from what we've seen from these two teams,
I think
the
they get
Las
swept.
Vegas Aces are going to sweep the New York Liberty. Not could, are going to. The Liberty need to show us something they haven't shown us yet next Sunday. Next Sunday, game 3 in Brooklyn, 3 p.m. start for it. You and I will be bringing you the game. And if the Liberty do not find better defense, better offensive execution, not settling for threes, working their way inside out with Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart, they're not going to win a game in this WNBA Finals. They're going to be swept, and they're going to be the 8th straight win in the playoffs for the Las Vegas Aces in what might be the greatest WNBA season ever. And then arguably, Cage, even without Candace Parker playing, maybe the greatest constructed WNBA team ever.
Oh, that's not even close. I don't think it's close.
With 4 losses in the WNBA Finals. So
Yeah.
Cage, I'll let you kind of end us off here because you came in at the second half, Cage. If there's, I'm trying to say one thing, but there's so many things I would change I myself, so I'm not sure I can even ask you that, but I guess I will. If there was one thing you would change for the New York Liberty going into Game 3 that would hopefully change the result, is there one thing you would change? Is there one thing you think could change to make this Liberty team be able to win Game 3?
Where do I start? I think the biggest thing.
You had a laundry list over there.
I think the biggest thing is Jonquel Jones better have 30 to 35 shot attempts in Game 3, because she might be the only player on this Liberty team that seems to have an answer. That seems to get it going when she does get touches. Give her the ball, let her dominate. Force Asia Wilson to play defense in the low block. Force her into foul trouble, and piggyback off of that. The Aces are putting Asia Wilson into prime positions to have her dominate. The Liberty got to do that, and they've done it for stretches of this game, but not nearly enough. Give Jonquel Jones the ball, let her dominate, and live or die with that, because everything else is not working.
Everything else is not working. I think that kind of sums up the performance tonight, Cage, for the New York Liberty. Nothing's working. And honestly, I would say for a coach, that's better than it working sporadically. You'd rather nothing work and have to go to something else than it works sporadically and figure out why is it working sporadically. What are we doing to not execute, or what is the defense doing to stop us sporadically? So what are they doing inconsistently, or what are we doing inconsistently? If nothing works, then it's, okay, let's try something else, because obviously nothing's working. So we might as well try something new and see if it will work. And I agree with you. I think Jonquel Jones needs to be a focal point of the offense in Game 3. I think they got to get Breanna Stewart to start. Okay, Breanna, you do not shoot a 3 unless absolutely wide open. You dominate on the block, and we get the ball to the bigs. We get the ball to the MVP and a former MVP in the post, cooking, forcing them to double. And then when the Las Vegas Aces have to double because our 2 best players in the post, former MVPs, are dominating in the post, then you kick out to your shooters in SQ, Vandersloot, Laney, Johannes when she's on the floor. Because until that happens, until they are forcing the Las Vegas Aces to double in the post, I don't see a way the New York Liberty win Game 3. At this point, I don't see it because they haven't been able to win without getting a forced double in the post. And I want to mention, Kajan, something that we didn't get a chance to see in the first quarter that I did. I saw it I saw it clearly. Twice, the Aces doubled Jonquel Jones in the post, and twice, Kajan, they got a jump ball off of it. I believe it actually was Brianna Stewart once to Jonquel Jones once, but regardless, Kelsey Plum doubled the post player twice from the weak side and got jump balls twice in the first quarter. That can't happen. That can't happen.
It can't.
You got to get that double, get the ball up as high as you can away from that player trying to get that ball, and fire it to the first open hands you see. Jonquel Jones didn't do that early. Brianna Stewart didn't do that early, and it allowed Vegas to lull them into not going inside because they didn't want to get jump balled. But then that allowed the Aces not to have to double in the post anymore. So the Liberty got to basically pick their poison of what they want to do on offense. And I think you and I completely agree with this 100%. Inside out. Let Jonquel Jones and Brianna Stewart eat on the low block. And then when the double comes, because you know it's going to come eventually with how good Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones are, find the open shooter. Because the cutting was great by Las Vegas. The assists were amazing. They did great on the glass, even they still got offensively outboarded, but they didn't even need the offensive glass because of how well they shot and how badly New York shot. You know, I'll kind of end here with this, Cage, with the stats. Field goal percentage, 52% Las Vegas, 36% for New York. 3-point percentage on 35 attempts, 22% for New York. That's 8 makes. Las Vegas, 29 shots, 13 makes. That's 44%. So 22%. So double the 3-point percentage for Las Vegas over New York. Free throws, 100% for Las Vegas, 17 for 17. New York is 16 for 22, 72% from the free throw line. Rebounding, Cage, 40 to 35 in favor of Las Vegas. Offensive rebounding, 13 to 8 in favor of New York. And then turnovers was 10-9 in favor of New York. So 10 turnovers for New York, 9 for the Liberty. And to finish it off, Kajan, 7 steals of those 10 turnovers for Las Vegas, only 4 steals of the 9 turnovers for New York. So they basically lost every metric except for offensive rebounding.
And I don't know if you mentioned this. You mentioned the assists, right?
No, I hadn't, Caden Cage, but I can't right now. 31 to 19 in favor of Las Vegas.
And that was the big one. To me, that's the big one. One team was playing too much one-on-one basketball and trying to settle for threes. The other team was sharing the rock and diversifying their attack on the offensive end and playing beautiful basketball and playing perfect basketball, and it showed on the scoreboard.
I think one more stat, Cage, I'm going to mention. I threw a lot of numbers at everybody, fans and you included. But the last one I'm going to use, and this one is going to exclamation point what you and I said. 30 to 32 points in the paint. 32 for Las Vegas, 30 for New York. If that number is not at least, and I mean at least 45 to 50, I don't think the Liberty have a hope of winning Game 3. I genuinely think they need to score at least 50 in the paint, because I think that'll get them to 100. I think if they score half of their points in the paint, they could win Game 3. If they do not, they will not win Game 3. Not could, will not win Game 3. Because they have not shown us that they can hit jumpers effectively in this finals, and it has costed them dearly in the first 2 games. And now they have to do what has been seemingly impossible in the WNBA, which is come back from 0-2. Again, never happened. 0-8 in the finals, 0-15 in the playoffs. Our teams that are 0-2 in a series.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And you know what's like? I'm looking at the box score right now, and this is boggling my mind. Jonquel Jones led the team in scoring with 22 points. Had a great game, by the way. 4 blocks, 22 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 1 of 3 from downtown, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, 22 points. She attempted 12 shots, 2 in the second half. Ninja Laney attempted 15.
How many of those were
That's
from three,
mind-boggling
Cage?
to me.
How many shots from three?
9.
Too many shots from outside, Cage. I think you did just exclamation point. Too many shots from
Like,
outside.
your best inside player only is taking the third most shots on that team. It
The
could
player
have
with
been
the most
4,
points.
and the player with the most points. Like, it boggles my mind.
Again, Cage,
You have
talking about
you
things
have
can't happen. Can't happen.
you have
Simple as
one
that.
you have one person that's dominating the block on the inside and could be your biggest matchup advantage, and you're not taking advantage of it. Like that to me says a lot.
Says everything, I think, Cage. Says everything. You know, as Ray Williams, we keep talking about him throughout this fourth quarter. You play to win the game. And it doesn't feel like the New York Liberty really did that tonight. I'm not saying effort-wise, but, you know, they didn't play to win the game. And it showed in the scoreboard.
And we were talking about like the assists from the Aces and how Chelsea Gray had 11 assists. And the point guard had 11 assists. Kelsey Plum had a very good passing game as well. 8 assists, only 1 turnover. There's just playmaking all over this Aces roster. As good as the Liberty are capable of playing, the way the Aces are playing right now, I'm not sure that's going to be enough. I'm not sure their best is going to be enough when the Aces are a well-oiled machine. And I think there is one underrated part or underrated difference between these two teams that I don't think people are talking about. And that's championship chemistry. This Aces team has been together since last year. They've been there, done that. The Liberty have had players that have been to the biggest stage and have done that. Vandersloot being one, Brianna Stewart, Jonko Jones made some finals appearances as well, but they haven't done it together.
This is basically a new team. Stewart
And
fresh to the team, Jonquil Jones fresh to the team, just about Vandersloot fresh to the team, fresh free agency signings.
and I think this is the classic case of individuals versus team.
Well,
The
I think
Liberty are
31
playing
to
like
19 says that, Cage. I think that's exactly right.
Liberty are playing like a bunch of individuals. The Aces are playing like a team, and it's shown through the first two games of this series.
Well, Cage, I think I'm finally gonna end it off with this. We'll finally get going. First game was a win for the Las Vegas Aces in Nevada, 99-82. Quick math, that is a 17-point win. Thank you, Cage. I thought I was getting there. 17-point win. You and I didn't think it could get worse than that. Well,
And it did.
28-point game to win for the Las Vegas Aces, 104-76. So at this rate, Cage, it looks like it's going to be a 110-70 win for the Las Vegas Aces in Game 3.
Well,
if the percentages keep working that way with the Las Vegas going up and New York Liberty going down in points per game. But Cage, finally, you said you think the series ends in 3. If that is how you think it ends, what's the final score line on Sunday? In Brooklyn, at Barclays Center, 3 p.m. start, Las Vegas Aces, New York Liberty. Final score.
Well, I think it's going to be an Aces win.
So that's a sweep. Because you got to see it.
It's not that I think the Liberty are going to be better, and they are, and I think they are going to be. I don't think you can get any worse than this. I don't think you can get any worse than this.
I think we hope not.
But we've talked about how the Liberty have not been playing well. We haven't really mentioned enough how good this Aces team is.
Oh, they're fantastic. Yeah, nothing to take away from the Aces. Nothing to take away from the Aces. They've been fantastic this entire series.
And not only have they had arguably the greatest regular season or the greatest regular season ever.
And they could finish that way with a sweep too. Undefeated in the playoffs.
but also with an undefeated in the playoffs to possibly the greatest season ever.
Yeah, exactly.
With really no weaknesses in that starting lineup. Maybe Kia Stokes is the odd girl out in that starting lineup, but then again, she plays a role and she plays it to perfection.
And
And
Alicia
they
Clark
only
is her
run
backup and the sixth man of the year, or sixth person of the year, pardon me.
and they only run 6 women deep, and it's worked for them. They play like a well-oiled machine, and the 3 guards, the backcourt. It was 70. I believe it was 72 to
28
28
in the first game.
Tonight, 61 on over 50 on actually exactly 50% from the field for
Las
61
Vegas.
points on 50% shooting for the Aces backcourt. Meanwhile, for the Liberty, unless you're counting Laney as a guard, and I think that's what they showed on
Yeah.
like the broadcast.
They include Laney. It's Laney, Vandersloot, and Inescu.
9 for 34 and 31 points, almost doubling the Liberty production.
So they did it again, Cage. They over doubled them in game 1, and they doubled them in game 2.
Effectively, the difference in the game. And on top of that, Asia Wilson has thoroughly outplayed Brianna Stewart in game 2.
And game 1.
I would say they evened out their scoring production a little bit, although Wilson was more efficient. But this game, it wasn't even close.
I agree with that. So, Cage, do you have a final score for game 3 with the Las Vegas Aces, you think, winning the WNBA championship for second year in a row?
Well, I think they're going to win the WNBA championship, but I think the Liberty are going to put up a fight. Long story short, I think this is going to be a 8-point victory for the Aces. I'm going to say 95-87.
Well, Cage, I completely disagree with you, I'll be honest. Relative. I think the Aces also win. I'll be transparent. I think the Aces sweep. I mentioned it in game 1 that I thought they couldn't lose game 2, and they lost game 2 in rather embarrassing fashion, in my opinion, 28-point differential. I don't think it'd be that much for game 3, but unless the Liberty show us something they haven't shown us this entire series, I think the Aces win game 3. I think they win it big in Brooklyn. I think by 6 p.m. on Sunday night, Cage, we'll be looking at a 96-82 final. 14-point win for the Las Vegas Aces as they crown themselves back-to-back WNBA champions with the finals MVP with 30 points in game 3, A'ja Wilson. Double-double as well, of course.
Oh, we're talking finals MVP predictions.
I just threw it out there, Cage. We can talk about it tomorrow as well. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow on Polar Opposites, episode, I think, 17, 16, somewhere in there.
I'm gonna say it's one of the 3 guards. Now I'm not sure who, because it's that close.
I think game 3 will have something a lot to do with it, to be honest. I think game 3's performance will have a lot to do with whoever gets to the finals MVP, because they've all been so good in the first 2 games.
And they could all be so good in game 3 too. This is really tough to say. You cannot honestly give a quarter of the finals MVP to each and every one of them.
Exactly, and no offense. That's again no offense to Kia Stokes or Alicia Clark.
Because maybe the only person that hasn't really scored as much as Chelsea Gray, but she's really quarterbacked the offense to perfection.
She had double digits assists in this game. Says it all.
And it could have been, and it could have been more had the game not been a blowout.
Exactly.
So I don't have a prediction for Finals MVP. I can't tell.
Well, we'll see if you sleep on it and have one for us tomorrow on Polar Opposites. So good. And stay tuned. Polar Opposites tomorrow morning. We'll be up by, I'll say, between 12 and 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. But stay tuned for that. Polar Opposites is For Kajan Theory, Danny Castle, I'm Spencer Byers. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's Game 2 of the WNBA Finals. Again, 104-76 win for the Las Vegas Aces over the New York Liberty. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Polar Opposites, and then stay tuned because next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, in Brooklyn, New York Liberty hosting Las Vegas Aces. Kajan and I will be back for Game 3 at 3 p.m. in Brooklyn, and we'll see if the Liberty can fight their way back, or if the Las Vegas Aces, which as you and I talked about, sweep and go perfect 8-0 in the WNBA playoffs. But again, before we get all into the Game 3, tomorrow episode, Polar Opposites, here on the Outrage Inc.